Hey everybody, welcome back to Clandestine Cabal Low Tech. I'm Jason.
I'm Ben.
And we have got two new number ones and a .1 issue, which you can kind of treat as a number one. But anyway, let's get down to it. Probably the most important title that DC is claiming so far, it's the foundation for the DC New, is Action Comics number 1. Last time we had an Action Comics number 1, it was the introduction of the first superhero ever, Superman. So obviously this is also focusing on Superman, written by Grant Morrison with art by Rags Morale from Identity Crisis. I'm just gonna make the comment right now, the art in here is so wonderful. It's worth, but the book is worth buying just for the art. But basically the premise of this is it focuses on Superman. I believe it's maybe 5 years before the Justice League book.
Yeah, it's 5 years before Justice League, which is around the same time that Batman started too, in the new DC.
Basically, when Superman's just getting started, and it's my thing about Grant Morrison is I like it when he writes Batman. Superman, not so much. I'm one of the few people that didn't like All-Star Superman, but this I actually can really get into the character that he's trying to make, because if you've ever read Action Comics number 1, which I mean is in like a dozen trades, so you can check it out, this is very similar to that. You have a Superman that's all about like breaking the boundaries and like establishing social justice, and it's also like the powers are similar because if you like when you're reading through it, you'll probably notice that Superman doesn't actually fly in this. He jumps because Superman didn't originally fly. He was able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Never fly though. That was something they got later from Captain Marvel, but that's a whole other story entirely. Shut up. But yeah, this is a really nice introduction to all the important people in this Superman universe, and I'm interested in seeing how Grant Morrison makes this his own story. So far, it seems like something that it's like pretty much cookie cutter Superman, but I feel like he's gotten the stuff out of the way now, the introduction stuff. So now he's ready to make it his own. He's ready to make an awesome Superman.
All right, if you're not, I'm gonna figure this out. if you're not a new reader to Action Comics or Superman, can I get a cheer from you that it's not rated the Doomsdays? You're grounded.
That was so bad.
If I'm just gonna assume that you cheered. But anyway, back to the actual review. So, like Jason said, it's Grant Morrison doing the story, which is interesting. I haven't read all of our All-Star Superman, but I kind of go back and forth on it, whether or not I like it. But this has almost nothing to do with that. It's a completely different approach to Superman, one that I think is really worth exploring. So I'm looking forward to where this book goes from here. It's very much, like Jason said, kind of going to the back to the foundation of the character. I don't know if this was on purpose, but there seems to be a lot of connections to Smallville, the Superman TV show, because on that show for the majority of the series, Clark couldn't fly in that either. So I don't know if Grant Morrison knew that a lot of maybe his new readers were going to be familiar with Superman from that show, and he wanted to have them be familiar with something. I don't know, but anyway, I think it's a smart decision. And also something that I noticed that I'm pretty sure was intentional was that he made it very evident that this Superman does feel pain and does bleed. There are several instances in the book when he is attacked where he actually says "ow," and he actually has scrapes and cuts where
he's also early in the development of his powers too. So
right, but what I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make is I think that Grant Morrison is trying to have him be more identifiable, which many would argue was his biggest problem. So lots of good things in this issue, mostly groundwork, but I think it has lots of potential and it's going to be great. So pick this up.
All right, we're going to need to speed through the other ones because we talked a lot about action. But anyway, here's our next one, New Avengers Annual number 1. First New Avengers I've bought in a while. Basically, I'm assuming it takes place after Fear itself. and it's all about how guy who used to be an Avenger, Wonder Man, is kind of like saying how the Avengers like come together and like being the guys who decide the destiny of the world is bad, and so now he's got his own group of people, and he pretty much goes to Avengers Mansion and trashes it, and this is all setting up for like a big storyline that's going to happen in Avengers and New Avengers after Fear itself, and I just think that like it is pretty interesting. They kind of like tore the new they kind of tore the New Avengers apart, and I'd never thought that they'd like be that much of a threat, but he's like, I believe Bendis wrote this. Yeah, Brian Michael Bendis has really like brought together a team of truly dangerous bad guys, and it'll be really interesting to see where this goes.
Okay, I'll try and be brief. Really good. Usually annuals kind of suck. This one was really good. Something I've noticed Marvel has been doing, which I was kind of angry about at first, is that they're tying in their annuals. So this one is actually going to lead into Avengers Annual #1. Don't really have a problem with that because it's telling an actual good story. So I'm looking forward to it. I thought maybe you wouldn't like it because I know you don't like Wonder Man.
I don't.
And
he's setting himself up for a fall. So
you even told me, you were like, "Oh, I know he's going to get his ass kicked." That didn't happen.
Oh yeah.
But what I was going to say is that I don't remember what I was going to say. But no, the point is that this is very good and you should pick it up. So.
All right, and finally we got a .1 issue, part of Marvel's .1 campaign to like get a starting point in its established series, and we've got X Factor 224.1, and this is a series written by Peter David, and it's been like called like probably the best X-Men book that's coming out right now, and I've read a few issues of it in the past, haven't read it for a while, but this makes me want to read it again because this is like the perfect introduction to X Factor. It like gives you a really brief snippet on all the team members and their power, and like you see the chemistry in like the 3 or 4 pages that they're all together. You can like see the chemistry and like the deep bonds that this team has. And X Factor is a detective organization made up of mutants that basically kind of similar to Torchwood. Like they investigate like a whole bunch of random stuff that like basically things that normal law enforcement isn't too keen about looking into. And it's a great primer for what comes up next, and I'm really excited about it.
Okay. All right, I'm not going to get... Can't figure this out.
It's called speaking.
I'm not going to get too much into this because the whole purpose of the book is to get you to start reading X Factor, which I think it does a pretty good job of that. I've been reading it before. I think, like you said, that it's the best X-Men book right now. Probably its biggest weakness and its greatest strength is that it doesn't tie in a lot with the other X-Men books, which, you know, is to its detriment when there's a huge event going on and you want to know what's going on with these people with that event. But at the same time, the event kind of tends to mire down characters too, so it's a good thing they just do their own thing. But I know that with this Regenesis business that's supposed to be coming up soon, X Factor is supposed to tie in a lot more with more of the X-Men stuff. So
But you don't need to know like the entire history of the X-Men to enjoy this book.
No, you don't. I'm just saying that now would probably be a good time to start jumping into it if you're reading other X-Men books and you just want to try something new. That's good, for sure. So definitely pick this up. It's great.
Alright, and that is all the time that we have, but we have got a companion video coming up where we take a quick look at all of the new DC new titles, all the new #1s that came out this week, and we're going to do it in less than 10 minutes, so here we go.